Every now and again I go into fuck it mode where I lose my motivation to make videos. I start thinking, why am I making these videos? They're pointless, it's not going to change anything, so why bother? So then I step back for a little while and I sulk and I pout, and usually after a while I get over it and I'm back ready to make videos again. Well, right now I'm still in fuck it mode, so why am I making this video? Well, I've been following the discussion over on Gen X, specifically black men talking about black women and how they're fed up with them, and some of them are even talking about writing black women off altogether and just dealing with women of other races. In listening to these videos by black men, I've heard them say quite a few things that are just straight up ludicrous and absurd. Hope that's not redundant. But I've stayed out of it and not responded because I really don't think I have a horse in that race, so to speak. Or in other words, for the most part, I feel that conversation doesn't concern me. Even though I could jump in there and argue down a lot of what they're saying, it just wouldn't help the conversation any, so I just stay out of it. But there's one thing in particular that black men over there have been saying, and I've heard it before from other black men offline, but there's one thing that they've been saying that I tried to let go, but I just can't hold it back anymore. The first time I wanted to bring this subject up was when Sergeant Willie Pete addressed a comment, I guess it was by a black female, who said that, black men, or maybe specifically him, he doesn't value the black woman's womb the way men of other races value the womb of the women of their race. And Petey responded by saying, well, what am I losing by not having kids with a black woman? And like, dude, that's the whole fucking point. That's what she's saying. You're not losing anything if you don't value the womb of the black woman. If you don't value something, then losing it is not a problem. That's what the fuck she's saying. Then he goes on to ask something like, what's in the black woman's womb to be valued? Really? You just said that. Really? But at that point, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to get involved. And I didn't want it to turn into a pissing match. And I didn't want to get all the accusations of, you're just jealous, you're trying to stir about the black women. But right now, I'm already in fuck it mode, so I'm ready for all your accusations. But anyway, what got me chiming in on this is that I've been following the videos that Kid Brother's been putting out lately. And hey, Kid Brother, you and me are cool and everything. We've had nice civil discussions, but you might want to tone it down just a bit because you're kind of starting to sound like Calvary. You're starting to get this unrealistic, idealistic view of women of other races, specifically white women. I mean, you make white women sound so good, I'm thinking about getting me one. Of course, I'm just joking. Kid Brother, I'm just fucking with you. Don't get mad. I'm joking. But anyway, now that I've wasted 3 minutes of this video talking about nothing, here's what got me to making this video. Kid Brother said, and he's not the first person to say this, but he went into great detail as to how it was to be done, or why it was to be done. But basically he said, you don't need black women to continue the black race. Let's just all let that sink in for a minute. You don't need black women to continue the black race. Alright, listen. This video is not about stirring those black men back to black women because I can't do that. I just want to know why you're insulting the whole black race, from the blacks here in America to the ones in Jamaica, in Haiti, in Africa, by saying you don't need any of us to continue us. What other race says that? Now you try to play it off or sugarcoat it by saying, well, they're going to be considered black. I'm going to address that in a minute. But right now, let's get back to what other race says that? I guess black people aren't special, huh? There's no special place in the world reserved for people who have 2 black parents. There's a special place for people who have 2 white parents, or 2 Asian parents, or 2 Native American parents, but you can have a black parent and a Asian parent and you're black. Same thing, no difference. You know what that means to me? We're replaceable. There's nothing special or unique about us because anybody can make us. And this is part of the reason I'm in fuck it mode right now. Another thing that's kind of got me there, and this is off subject a little bit, but I was watching a video, another video by that dude that sings, I throw my hands up in the air sometime. He made another video, I forget what it's called, but this guy is black, probably a black Latino, and basically all the women in his video were white. Like every single one. There was not one single black woman, there was not one single woman who had the same pigment as him. And I was thinking, damn, if I have a daughter, I gotta raise her up looking at this? Man, I don't even want kids anymore. The joy of having kids has been sucked out of me lately by this bullshit I'm seeing on TV. I have to raise them up looking at this? But anyway, back to the subject at hand. We got these black men over on Gen X who feel guilty, let's just call it what it is, who feel guilty about their choices in women. So they cover it over with this, oh, my kids are going to be considered black. Alright, let me break it down. There's 2 groups of these guys. There were men who were teased about their features when they were younger, So when they got older, they purposely sought out women of other races to have kids that didn't have the features that they got laughed at about. Now, I don't think that represents the majority of black men over on Gen X talking about I can have black kids without black women. Let me go off on a little tangent just for a minute. See, men and women are different. Well, no shit, we already knew that. Well, you didn't let me finish. They're different in how they react to their children. Women are programmed to love whatever they give birth to. For example, I think most women would like to have a daughter, but if they have all sons, it's not that big of a deal. Men, on the other hand, of course, usually want sons, and they're more likely than women to keep having children until they get that son. Now, one thing, and this is just one thing, that I think stops men of other races from getting with black women is because they're worried about their bloodline. And they want sons that look like them. I remember when I was 17 and I had a job at a restaurant called O'Charlie's. It's like one of the best jobs I ever had. I was getting paid $6 an hour just to roll silverware. That's it. Anyway, there was this black guy who was working as a server there, and he had a son with a Latina woman. So anyway, he came in with pictures of the kid. The kid was about a year old, just before he's ready to start walking. And he was talking about how he was trying to get custody of him and all that stuff. But anyway, one of the white girls who was working there was looking at the pictures, and she said something, and I don't remember what it was. But the black guy responded by saying, well, I don't think he'll stay that light. He'll probably look more like me later on. Now, this guy was not talking about that his kid did not have any facial resemblance to him, because it did. You could tell it was his kid. But he was talking about the racial look. The kid looked like he had black in him, but he did not look like a black baby. So basically, if that boy didn't darken up like he was hoping, he's going to go through life walking around with his own son, and people are going to be wondering, is that your son? Oh, you know what, that is your son. I see it now. I see it in the eyes. He has your eyes, but I just couldn't see it from over there. Case in point, there's a YouTuber on here called Ace of the Comic. I'll put a link to a video with him and his son in it in the description box. Take a look at it and you will see that this boy does resemble him in the face. He does have some physical characteristics of his father. But when you see them walking down the street, you wonder, who is that boy with him? And if you think that I'm bullshitting, he actually had to make a video and tell people that was his son. I'm also going to put two other links in the description box, and this is of two white men who have had sons with black women. The same thing applies. You can pick out features on these kids they took from their fathers, but just like Ace of the Comic, they're probably going to go through life being asked repeatedly if those are their sons. But here's the thing. White men accept the fact that when they make a baby, for example, with a black woman, that their kids are not white, they're biracial. I have never heard a non-black man say that he can have a child of his race with a woman that's not his race. And some of you come back, well, society's going to consider them black. Okay, what they're considered to be does not change what they are. And it doesn't make them look like you. And when you say that, it just makes you sound like you're conflicted about having mixed race children. Let's just put all names and categories and classifications aside and just look at pictures. You may have a child that's considered black with this woman, but you cannot make this with a white woman. You can't make this with an Asian woman. You can't make this with a non-black Latina. You get pretty close sometimes, but no cigar. And a lot of times when kids are half black and half white and they come out looking like this, they have an African parent who doesn't have any white admixture, or perhaps a negligible amount. Let's back up to Tiki Barber. He's a goddamn good-looking man. He married an Asian woman, and as beautiful as his children are, he could not replicate this look with that woman. Now you can try and smooth it over by saying, well, they're considered black, but do they look black? No, they do not. They look like they got black in them, but they don't look black. Here's Wesley Snipes. Wesley is an ugly motherfucker. He also married an Asian woman, and as dark and African as he looks, his kids do not look black. All of them have straightish, curlyish hair and meaty eyes. You cannot make this without a black woman. And please don't point to the exceptions. Of course, there are kids that come out looking more like one parent than the other, but in general, they tend to come out somewhere in the middle. Seal and Heidi Klum's kids don't look like either one of them. None of them have his dark skin, and none of them are as light as she is. You can't make this without a black woman. And I can hear it now. Well, I could have a baby with a black woman and he could come out with light eyes and light skin. Keep trying to miss the point and keep trying to make the exceptions disprove the rule. You're just trying to steer us back to black women. This has nothing to do with black women. This has to do with why are you trying to pass off biracial children as black? It's because you're conflicted about what happens to your bloodline when you mix with other races. You know that you're making kids that will never be like you. But you try to cover that over with, well, they're gonna be considered black. Okay, fine. Let me see you make this with a Latina woman that's not black. See, Pete, that's what's in my womb. The same thing that's in your balls. And you will never pull this out of a Latina woman who's not black. And once again, spare me the exceptions. I mean, if you love your wife and you're comfortable with your decision, then why don't you just accept what your wife gave you, which is a biracial child? And then there was a part in the video where Kid Brother said something like, well, when black mixes with something else, usually the black takes over, or they take on the African appearance. I don't know what he said, something about the black taking over. Well, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And let me tell you something. Most black people in this country are of West African descent. West Africa does not have this wide array of colors like we always like to, oh, black people come in all colors. Okay, we're from West Africa. They don't have this wide array. They don't have green eyes. They don't have curly hair. I'm not saying you can't find a single person that's West African that has these features, but in general, no, we don't. And the reason we're so used to seeing black people with all these different colors and hair types and stuff is because ever since slavery, we've been throwing people up in the race who weren't full black. Look at all the historical drawings of the slave ships. Look at the movie Amistad. Do you see all these light-skinned, green-eyed, curly-headed variety of colors? No, you don't. So please spare me that we come in all different colors. Yes, we do, mostly due to admixture. And also, please don't send me pictures of some tribe in Africa that ain't from West Africa, because I'm not talking about them, I'm talking about West Africans. And also, please spare me the exceptions, just like that Nigerian couple who just had that blonde-headed baby. Exceptions do not disprove the rule. So, since some of these mixed kids come out looking like other people that we consider to be black, even though they are mixed somewhere down the line, then we want to say that black genes take over. Since we're used to seeing black and white mixture, then we get away with calling the kids black. But when you start mixing black and Asian, something that we don't see every day, then you can really start to see that most of the time the kids come out looking somewhere in the middle. Maybe they'll have the eyes and the dark skin and the curly hair, or maybe they'll have kinky hair and the eyes and light skin, or any combination. But you can tell full well that the kid is mixed because we know that black people don't have eyes like that in general. So when you say that the black takes over, no, we've just gotten used to calling people who aren't full black, black. So anyway, that's the second group of black men who make the statement, well, my kids are going to be considered black. These are black men who want black kids, or at least they want black sons. I don't think they care as much if their daughter comes out looking like their wives or their girlfriend or whatever. But anyway, these are black men who want black kids, but for whatever reason they didn't get with a black woman, whether it's because black women are horrible, or because they're just not attracted to them, or whatever. Now, some of you men, and I might be coming up on a third group here, like to accuse black women of being self-hating. Oh, you wear the hair of other women, you do this, you do that. Yeah, well, you want the babies from another woman, and you feel guilty about it. That's why you cover it over by saying, well, they're going to be considered black. Oh, yeah? I'd like to see you make this kid with your Asian woman. And Kid Brother was saying, well, we need to crossbreed to save the race. You cannot save the race with another race. You lose this. Now, not everybody who mixes interracially feels bad about losing this. Some people don't care. But when you make statements like, well, my kids will be considered black, that lets me know that you do care and you feel conflicted about it. And all you black guys out there who keep saying that you can have black children with a non-black woman, you can accuse me of trying to steer you back to black women, or being jealous of your relationship, or being jealous of white women, or whatever you want to do. But I just want to know, why are we the only race where you can say you can make one of us with a black person and a non-black person? No other race does that. Having just one black parent is the same as having two. There's nothing unique about black people. There's nothing special about us because anybody can make us. Oh, and one more thing. Kid Brother, you're not the blackest person in the world. If you have a baby with a white woman, that baby's probably going to come out looking white. So don't tell me, oh, black genes can't be bred out or they can't disappear. Yes, they can. I don't know where black people got this idea that our genes are so strong that they can't be bred out. Have you seen Victoria Rowell's daughter? Victoria Rowell is biracial. She had a daughter with a white man and the girl looks white. Have you seen Eartha Kitt's daughter? Eartha Kitt, again, biracial, her daughter looks white. And her granddaughter definitely looks white. So don't tell me black can't be bred out. It only takes 3 or 4 generations, sometimes only 2. But anyway, that's all I got to say. Please don't insult the black race, not black women, the black race, by saying you can bring black kids in the world with a non-black woman.